The War Council chamber fell silent as the holographic display updated with the latest casualty reports. Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Alliance stared at the numbers, his four eyes blinking in disbelief. The massive obsidian table around which the council sat seemed to shrink under the weight of the impossible data streaming across its surface. "These figures cannot be accurate," growled General Fox, his reptilian features twisting into a snarl. The draconian military commander's scaled hands gripped the edge of the table until his claws left marks in the ancient stone. One human soldier cannot possibly account for these losses. The other species representatives around the table shifted uncomfortably. The ethereal council member, Whisper of Stars, floated slightly above her designated seat, her translucent form flickering with anxiety. The insectoid hive queen Zix9 clicked her mandibles in rapid succession, a sign of deep distress among her kind. Admiral Kethvar activated another hologram, this one showing a three-dimensional battlefield map of the contested moon Zirion 7. Red dots marked enemy positions, blue showed alliance forces, and a single green marker moved across the terrain like a predator stalking through tall grass. The human designation is Corporal Marcus Chen, Earth Marine Corps, 3rd Battalion, the Admiral reported, his voice carrying the weight of decades spent in warfare. He was separated from his unit during the initial orbital bombardment 6 standard days ago. Our intelligence suggests his entire squad was eliminated in the opening assault. Queen Zix9's compound eyes focused on the display. Then, how does he continue to operate? Humans require food, water, medical attention. The terrain of Zirion 7 is hostile to most carbon-based life forms. Dr. Veltar, the Alliance's chief xenobiologist, manipulated the holographic controls with his tentacle appendages. The display zoomed in on the moon's surface, revealing a landscape of crystalline formations and methane storms. The atmospheric pressure is only 62% of Earth normal. The temperature fluctuates between -40 and +60 degrees Celsius. There are no naturally occurring food sources compatible with human physiology. Yet he persists, Whisper of Stars observed, her melodic voice carrying undertones of something that might have been respect. The enemy casualty reports speak of a ghost that strikes without warning. A phantom that appears from nowhere, eliminates entire patrols, and vanishes before reinforcements arrive. General Fox stood, his massive frame casting shadows across the war room. At nearly 3 meters tall, he was an imposing figure even among the diverse species of the Alliance. Ghosts do not exist. This human follows predictable patterns. We simply need to analyze his tactics and deploy appropriate countermeasures. The hologram shifted to show tactical recordings captured by surviving enemy forces. Grainy footage revealed a human figure moving through the crystalline maze of Zirion 7's surface. Marcus Chen appeared smaller than the aliens pursuing him, his standard-issue combat armor dwarfed by the massive environmental suits worn by the enemy soldiers. Observe his movement patterns, Dr. Veltar noted, highlighting the human's path through the recording. He uses the natural crystal formations to redirect laser fire back at his attackers. The mathematical precision required for such calculations under combat stress should be beyond the capabilities of most sentient species. Admiral Kethvar paused the recording at a moment when Chen could be seen clearly. The human's face was partially obscured by his helmet's tactical display, but his eyes were visible through the visor. They held a cold determination that seemed to burn through the holographic projection. Our psychological analysis teams have studied these recordings extensively, the Admiral continued. They report that Corporal Chen displays no signs of panic, desperation, or typical survival stress responses. Instead, he appears to be systematically hunting the enemy forces. Impossible, Queen Zix9 chittered. No individual soldier, regardless of species, possesses the tactical knowledge to operate independently against superior numbers for an extended period. The human must have received outside assistance. Whisper of Stars drifted closer to the hologram, studying the frozen image of the human marine. What do we know of his background? His training? Perhaps understanding his origins will illuminate his capabilities. Dr. Veltar accessed another data file. Corporal Marcus Chen, age 26 standard years. Born on Earth's colony world New Shanghai. Enlisted in the Marine Corps at 18. Combat experience in the Titan Rebellion, the Europa mining conflicts, and the defense of the Mars orbital stations. Decorated for valor under fire on 7 separate occasions. His unit composition when deployed to Zirion 7? General Fox demanded. 12 Marines, including Chen. Standard squad configuration: heavy weapons specialist, communications operator, medic, demolitions expert, and 8 riflemen. The unit was tasked with establishing a forward observation post to monitor enemy troop movements. The War Council members absorbed this information in contemplative silence. The idea that a single human could survive where his entire unit had perished challenged their understanding of individual combat effectiveness. "Show us the progression of enemy casualties," Admiral Kethvar ordered. The holographic display transformed into a timeline. On the first day, enemy losses were minimal, 3 soldiers found dead with precise knife wounds. By the second day, the numbers had grown to 15, eliminated through explosive traps and ambush tactics. The third day showed 37 casualties, including the destruction of 2 armored vehicles using their own ammunition supplies against them. "The escalation pattern is deliberate," observed Whisper of Stars. "He is learning their patrol routes, their communication protocols, their response times. Each engagement teaches him more about enemy capabilities." General Fox studied the data with growing unease. On day 4, he eliminated 62 enemy soldiers. Day 5 brought 89 casualties. Yesterday's count reached 114. The mathematical progression suggests he is not merely surviving, Dr. Veltar calculated. He is actively degrading enemy combat effectiveness at an exponential rate. Queen Zix9's mandibles clicked rapidly. "This violates standard tactical doctrine. Individual soldiers are force multipliers within unit structures, not autonomous combat entities capable of strategic impact." Admiral Kethvar highlighted specific incidents from the casualty reports. Analysis of his methods reveals sophisticated understanding of enemy psychology. He targets officers first, disrupting command structure. He destroys communication equipment, isolating units from support. He uses enemy weapons and supplies, maintaining his operational capability indefinitely. "The enemy forces have requested reinforcements," General Fox reported grimly. "Their initial occupation force of 3,000 has been reduced to approximately 1,800 effective combatants. Field commanders report declining morale and increased requests for evacuation." The council chamber fell quiet again as the implications became clear. A single human marine was systematically dismantling an enemy force 50 times his size. The tactical situation defied conventional military wisdom. What psychological profile emerges from this behavior pattern? Whisper of Stars inquired. Dr. Veltar manipulated the display to show comparative analysis data. Earth military psychology differs significantly from Alliance species. Where we emphasize collective action and shared decision-making, human military doctrine emphasizes individual initiative and adaptive problem-solving under pressure. Their training methodology focuses on worst-case scenario preparation, the xenobiologist continued. Human Marines are conditioned to operate independently when separated from command structure. They are taught to improvise weapons, shelter, and sustenance from available materials. General Fox's reptilian features displayed skepticism. No amount of training can account for the tactical sophistication demonstrated by this individual. He must possess exceptional capabilities even among his own species. The Admiral activated another recording, this one showing Chin constructing an improvised explosive device from salvaged enemy equipment. His movements were methodical, precise, demonstrating intimate knowledge of alien technology acquired through field observation. "Human adaptability appears to exceed our initial assessments," admitted Dr. Veltar. "Their neuroplasticity allows for rapid acquisition of new skills and knowledge under extreme stress conditions." Queen Zix9 studied the recordings intently. His ammunition supplies should have been exhausted days ago. How does he maintain his offensive capabilities? Analysis of recovered enemy equipment shows evidence of human modification, the Admiral explained. Corporal Chen has adapted enemy weapon systems for human physiology. He uses their own supply caches against them. Every engagement provides him with additional resources while denying those same resources to enemy forces. The War Council members exchanged glances filled with growing respect and concern. The implications of what they were witnessing extended far beyond a single battlefield engagement. "If one human marine can achieve these results operating alone," General Fox said slowly, "what might be accomplished by a full human military unit operating with proper supply lines and tactical support?" The question hung in the air like a challenge to everything they thought they knew about warfare. The alliance had formed primarily for defense against superior enemy technologies and numbers. The discovery that their newest members might possess individual combat capabilities beyond anything previously encountered changed the strategic equation fundamentally. Admiral Kefvar brought up the final display, showing current enemy positions on Zirion 7. The red markers that had once covered the moon's surface were now clustered in heavily fortified positions, afraid to venture into the crystal maze where death stalked them. The enemy has essentially conceded control of 70% of the moon's surface to a single human soldier, he reported. Their tactical communications intercepted by our monitoring stations reveal fear, confusion, and growing demands for withdrawal. What are Corporal Chen's current objectives? Whisper of Stars asked. Does he seek evacuation? Rescue by Alliance forces? Dr. Veltar accessed the human service record. His mission parameters were to establish observation post and report enemy movements. No extraction protocols were established due to the high-risk nature of the deployment. So he continues his original mission despite impossible circumstances, Queen Zix9 observed. This suggests dedication to duty beyond rational self-interest. The War Council sat in contemplation, processing the implications of everything they had learned. A single human Marine had transformed a lost battle into a strategic victory through sheer determination, adaptability, and combat skill. As they prepared to discuss their next course of action, none of them could imagine that the most shocking revelations about Corporal Marcus Chen were yet to come. Marcus Chen crouched behind a cluster of purple crystals, their surfaces reflecting the pale light of Zirion 7's twin suns. His combat armor had been modified over the past week with salvaged enemy equipment, creating a patchwork of human and alien technology that somehow functioned better than either system alone. The heads-up display in his helmet showed enemy patrol patterns he had memorized through careful observation. 3 days of steady rain had filled the crystal valleys with acidic water that ate through standard military boots. Chen had solved this problem by taking environmental suit components from fallen enemy soldiers, adapting their chemical-resistant materials to protect his gear. Every challenge became an opportunity to improve his capabilities. His stomach growled, reminding him that human rations had run out 4 days ago. The emergency protein bars in his pack were gone, but Chen had discovered that enemy supply caches contained nutrition paste suitable for carbon-based lifeforms. It tasted like chalk mixed with metal shavings, but it kept him functional. The motion sensor in his helmet detected approaching footsteps. 6 enemy soldiers moved through the crystal maze in standard search formation. Their heavy breathing was audible through his modified audio pickup system, another enemy component he had integrated into his equipment. Fear made them clumsy, and Chen could track their positions by sound alone. He checked his improvised weapons. The enemy plasma rifle he carried had been modified with human targeting systems, increasing its accuracy by 30%. The knife strapped to his thigh was standard Marine Corps issue, its monomolecular edge still sharp enough to cut through enemy armor. Most importantly, he carried 12 explosive devices constructed from enemy ammunition and human ingenuity. Chen had learned that the enemy relied heavily on technology and protocol. They expected enemies to behave according to standard tactical doctrine. When faced with an opponent who ignored conventional wisdom, their responses became predictable and exploitable. The patrol moved closer to his position. Through the crystal formations, Chen could see their leader, a tall humanoid with 4 arms and skin that shifted between green and brown. This particular individual had survived 3 previous encounters by abandoning his subordinates when combat began. Chen had been tracking him specifically. Patience was a weapon his instructors had emphasized during basic training. While enemy soldiers grew nervous and made mistakes, a disciplined Marine could wait for the perfect moment to strike. Chen had been motionless for 47 minutes, controlling his breathing and heart rate through meditation techniques learned during survival training. The patrol leader gestured for his soldiers to spread out and search the crystal formations. This was exactly what Chen had expected. He activated the first explosive device remotely, triggering a blast on the far side of the valley that sent crystal shards flying like deadly rain. The enemy soldiers immediately turned toward the explosion, following their training to investigate disturbances. Chen used their momentary distraction to move silently through the crystals, positioning himself behind their formation. He had discovered that these particular aliens had limited peripheral vision, a weakness he could exploit. The patrol leader barked orders in his native language, but Chen had learned enough enemy vocabulary to understand basic commands. They were spreading out to investigate the blast site, exactly as he had planned. Fear made them sloppy, and their movements revealed their positions to his enhanced audio sensors. Chen struck like lightning. His knife found the first soldier's weak point between armor plates, penetrating vital organs with surgical precision. The alien dropped without making a sound, his weapon clattering onto the crystalline ground. Chen caught it before the noise could alert the others. The second soldier heard something behind him and began to turn, but Chen's captured plasma rifle fired a burst that turned the alien's head into vapor. The distinctive sound of plasma discharge would bring the others running, which was exactly what Chen wanted. He moved again, using the crystal formations as cover while the remaining soldiers converged on his last known position. Chen had spent days mapping every reflection angle in this valley. The purple crystals could redirect energy beams with mathematical precision, turning enemy weapons against themselves. A plasma bolt fired by one of the pursuing soldiers struck a crystal face and rebounded directly into another alien's chest. The soldier collapsed, smoke rising from the hole burned through his armor. His comrades stopped firing, finally, realizing that their own weapons were being used against them. Chen capitalized on their hesitation, emerging from cover long enough to throw an improvised explosive device into their midst. The blast sent crystal fragments flying in all directions, creating a deadly storm that shredded anything not protected by heavy armor. When the dust settled, only the patrol leader remained alive, cowering behind a fallen crystal formation. Chen approached slowly, allowing his footsteps to echo off the crystalline surfaces. Psychological warfare was as important as physical combat, and fear could be more effective than bullets. The alien leader emerged with his hands raised in surrender, speaking rapidly in his native tongue. Chen understood enough to know he was begging for mercy, offering information about enemy positions and supply caches. This was valuable intelligence, but Chen also knew that mercy was a luxury he could not afford. The knife work was quick and professional. Chen had learned anatomy lessons from fallen enemy soldiers, identifying vital points and efficient methods of elimination. Every death taught him something new about enemy physiology and weaknesses. He salvaged useful equipment from the bodies, adding ammunition and supplies to his growing collection. The enemy nutrition paste would keep him functional for another 3 days. Their communication devices provided intelligence about patrol schedules and reinforcement timelines. As Chen prepared to move to his next position, he reflected on the tactical situation. The enemy force had arrived on Zirion 7 expecting to establish a permanent outpost. They brought heavy equipment, construction materials, and enough supplies for an extended occupation. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare where death could strike from any direction without warning. Their supply lines were constantly under attack. Their patrol routes were compromised. Their communication networks had been infiltrated and turned against them. Chen's original mission had been simple: observe and report enemy movements. But, with his unit destroyed and no extraction possible, the mission parameters had evolved. He was no longer gathering intelligence, he was actively destroying enemy combat effectiveness through systematic elimination of their forces. The modifications to his equipment had progressed beyond simple adaptation. He now carried hybrid weapons systems that combined the best features of human and alien technology. His armor provided better protection than standard Marine Corps issue while maintaining the mobility necessary for guerrilla operations. More importantly, Chen had developed an intimate understanding of enemy psychology and tactics. He could predict their responses to various stimuli, manipulate their decision-making processes, and exploit their weaknesses with surgical precision. His helmet's communication array detected encrypted transmissions from enemy command posts. Using captured decryption keys, Chen could monitor their discussions about the Ghost Marine who had turned their simple occupation mission into a prolonged nightmare. The intercepted communications revealed growing desperation among enemy leadership. Casualty reports were climbing daily while their tactical position deteriorated. Field commanders were requesting permission to withdraw, citing unacceptable losses and diminished morale. Chen smiled grimly as he moved through the crystal maze toward his next target. The enemy had asked a simple question at the beginning of this engagement: how many could one Earth Marine kill? They were about to discover that they had seriously underestimated the answer. His enhanced sensors detected another patrol approaching from the northern valley. This group moved differently, more cautiously, with better spacing between individuals. They had learned from the fate of previous patrols, which meant Chen would need to adapt his tactics accordingly. The learning curve worked both ways, but Chen had advantages that went beyond simple training and equipment. Human military doctrine emphasized improvisation and adaptation under pressure. Marines were taught to treat every engagement as a learning opportunity, constantly refining their methods based on enemy responses. As he prepared his next ambush, Chen considered the broader implications of his situation. The Alliance species who had recruited humanity for this war had specific expectations about human capabilities. His performance on Zirion 7 would influence how those expectations evolved. The enemy patrol moved closer to his position, their caution evident in their slow progress through the crystal formations. Chen checked his improvised weapons and prepared to teach them another lesson about the dangers of underestimating a United States Marine. Behind him, smoke still rose from the site of his last engagement, a reminder to any who might follow of the price paid for occupying territory that a Marine had claimed for the Alliance. The War Council would receive updated casualty reports within hours, but they could not yet imagine the strategic revelations that Corporal Marcus Chen was about to demonstrate through practical application of human military doctrine. The enemy command bunker was built into the side of a crystalline mountain, its armor plating designed to withstand orbital bombardment. Chen studied the facility through his modified scope, noting guard positions and identifying structural weak points. After 10 days of continuous operations, he had evolved from a stranded Marine into something the enemy had never encountered before. His appearance reflected this transformation. The standard Marine utility uniform had been replaced with a hybrid ensemble of human and alien components. Enemy environmental suits provided chemical protection, while their advanced optics systems had been integrated into his helmet. Captured weapons hung from his modified tactical harness alongside human-manufactured explosives. Chen's intelligence gathering had reached sophisticated levels. He understood enemy command structure, communication protocols, and supply logistics. More importantly, he had identified their psychological breaking points and learned to exploit them systematically. The bunker represented the enemy's final defensive position. Intelligence gathered from captured communications indicated that evacuation procedures were already being prepared. The commanding officer, General Vrexthal, had requested immediate extraction for essential personnel while abandoning the majority of his forces. This information presented Chen with an opportunity to deliver a decisive blow to enemy morale. If he could eliminate their leadership while they attempted to escape, the remaining forces would collapse into complete disarray. It was an ambitious objective for a single Marine, but Chen had stopped thinking in terms of conventional limitations. His approach to the bunker required careful timing. Enemy patrols followed predictable schedules, but their routes overlapped in ways that created temporary gaps in coverage. Chen had spent 2 days mapping these intervals, identifying a 17-minute window when the northern approach would be unguarded. The first obstacle was a sensor array that monitored electromagnetic signatures. Chen had solved this problem by constructing a signal jammer from captured enemy components. The device would create enough interference to mask his approach while appearing to be a natural phenomenon caused by the moon's magnetic field fluctuations. He activated the jammer and moved toward the bunker, his modified armor absorbing and deflecting scanning attempts. The technology integration he had achieved went beyond simple adaptation. It represented a synthesis of human innovation and alien engineering that exceeded the capabilities of either system independently. The outer perimeter consisted of automated defense turrets programmed to engage any unauthorized movement. Chen had studied their targeting algorithms through careful observation of patrol interactions. The turrets relied on movement prediction software that assumed targets would behave according to standard tactical doctrine. Chen moved in patterns that deliberately violated those assumptions. Instead of maintaining consistent speed and direction, he alternated between rapid sprints and complete stillness. His path curved in mathematically precise arcs that confused the targeting systems long enough for him to reach effective range. The first turret exploded in a shower of sparks and molten metal as Chen's improvised electromagnetic pulse device overloaded its control circuits. He had learned to construct these weapons from enemy power cells and human signal equipment, creating tools that enemy engineers had never anticipated. The second turret attempted to track his movement, but Chen used the crystalline environment to his advantage. A perfectly angled crystal formation redirected the turret's energy beam back into its own power supply, causing a cascade failure that left it permanently disabled. His approach to the bunker entrance required different tactics. 2 guards stood beside an armored door that could only be opened from the inside. Their positioning eliminated the possibility of stealth approaches, forcing Chen to rely on speed and surprise. The guards were members of an elite unit, their armor more sophisticated than standard troops. Chen had encountered their kind before and learned that they possessed enhanced reflexes and improved sensory systems. Conventional tactics would be insufficient against such opponents. Chen's solution involved psychological warfare combined with superior positioning. He triggered an explosion in a distant part of the facility, drawing the guards' attention while he moved into attack position. When they turned to investigate the disturbance, Chen struck with lethal efficiency. His modified plasma rifle fired in rapid succession, each shot precisely targeted at armor weak points identified through previous combat experience. The guards collapsed before they could activate alarm systems, their advanced equipment proving inadequate against human tactical innovation. The bunker door required electronic access codes that Chen did not possess. However, his study of enemy technology had revealed that their security systems relied on biometric scanners that could be fooled by presenting the appropriate biological signatures. Chen used the fallen guard's access credentials to gain entry. Inside the bunker, emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the metallic corridors. Chen moved with practiced silence, his enhanced audio sensors detecting conversations and movement throughout the facility. The layout followed standard military architecture, but enemy design preferences created opportunities for infiltration that human engineers would never have included. His target was the command center where General Vrexthal was coordinating evacuation procedures. Intelligence suggested that critical enemy personnel would be extracted within hours, leaving their remaining forces without leadership or strategic direction. Chen encountered 3 more guards during his penetration of the facility. Each engagement was brief and decisive, his hybrid weapon systems overwhelming enemy defenses before they could mount effective resistance. He had learned to move like flowing water, adapting to each obstacle while maintaining momentum toward his objective. The command center door was more heavily secured than the entrance, requiring multiple authentication protocols. Chen bypassed these obstacles using techniques learned from captured enemy technical manuals combined with human engineering principles. The security systems had been designed to prevent conventional intrusion attempts, not the innovative approaches that human creativity could devise. Inside the command center, General Vrexthal stood before a holographic display showing evacuation timelines. His staff of 12 officers worked frantically to coordinate the withdrawal of essential personnel. None of them noticed the human marine entering their supposedly secure facility until it was far too late. Chen's presence in the room created immediate panic among the enemy officers. Several reached for sidearms, but their movement was constrained by the command center's tight confines. Chen had chosen his entry point specifically to maximize his tactical advantage while limiting enemy options. The engagement lasted 43 seconds. When it ended, General Vrexthal was the only survivor, cowering behind his command console while Chen systematically destroyed critical computer systems. The general's evacuation plans evaporated along with his communication links to orbiting spacecraft. Chen spoke to the general in his native language, words learned from interrogating captured soldiers. He explained that the evacuation would not proceed as planned, that enemy forces on Zirion 7 had been defeated by a single human marine, and that surrender was the only option that would preserve the remaining lives under the general's command. The psychological impact was devastating. General Vrexthal had commanded military forces for 3 decades without experiencing tactical defeat. The concept that one individual could systematically dismantle his entire operation violated every principle of warfare he understood. Chen's final act was to activate the bunker's communication systems and broadcast surrender instructions to all enemy forces on the moon. Using the general's authentication codes, he ordered immediate cessation of military operations and preparation for prisoner processing by incoming alliance forces. The broadcast reached every enemy position simultaneously, carrying the weight of command authority that no subordinate officer would dare question. Within hours, white flags appeared throughout the crystal valleys as demoralized soldiers abandoned their positions. Chen emerged from the bunker to find Zirion 7 transformed. The moon that had been controlled by 3,000 enemy troops was now secured by a single United States Marine who had refused to accept defeat. His mission parameters had evolved far beyond their original scope, but the results exceeded anything the Alliance War Council had imagined possible. As he prepared to signal for extraction, Chen reflected on the lessons learned during his time on Zirion 7. The enemy had possessed superior numbers, advanced technology, and established supply lines. Yet they had been defeated by human adaptability, innovation, and an unwillingness to surrender in the face of impossible odds. The War Council would receive his after-action report within days, but the numerical answer to their question was now academic. Corporal Marcus Chen had proven that the right Marine, in the right circumstances, could eliminate not just hundreds of enemies but entire military operations through strategic application of individual initiative. The real question was no longer how many could one Earth Marine kill, but rather what might be accomplished when humanity deployed its military capabilities at full scale throughout the galaxy. The Alliance War Council reconvened 3 days after receiving Corporal Chen's extraction request. The same chamber that had witnessed their disbelief now hosted a very different atmosphere. Admiral Kethvar stood before updated holographic displays showing the complete liberation of Zirion 7, achieved by a single human Marine operating without support. The final casualty numbers were staggering. Of the original 3,000 enemy troops deployed to the Moon, 437 had been eliminated directly by Chen's actions. Another 800 had been wounded severely enough to require medical evacuation. The remaining forces had surrendered en masse following the capture of their command structure. General Fox studied the tactical analysis with professional fascination. The progression from survival to systematic campaign represents a transformation we did not anticipate. Corporal Chen evolved from defending himself into conducting strategic operations against an entire military force. Dr. Veltar manipulated the holographic controls, displaying Chen's equipment modifications throughout the engagement. His technological integration exceeded our models of interspecies adaptation. Within 10 days, he created hybrid systems that surpassed the performance of either human or enemy equipment operating independently. Queen Zix-9's compound eyes focused on the psychological analysis reports. The enemy forces experienced complete morale collapse. Their tactical confidence was systematically destroyed through encounters with an opponent who operated beyond their conceptual framework. Whisper of Stars drifted closer to examine the strategic implications. This individual achievement suggests capabilities that extend throughout the human military establishment. If one Marine can accomplish these results, what might be expected from coordinated human forces operating with proper support? The question resonated through the chamber as the council members contemplated scenarios that challenged their understanding of military possibilities. Humanity had been recruited to the Alliance primarily for their potential contributions to defensive operations. The revelation that they possessed individual combat capabilities beyond anything previously encountered changed the strategic equation fundamentally. Admiral Kethvar activated another display showing human military organization. Earth maintains active military forces numbering approximately 4 million personnel across all service branches. The Marine Corps alone fields over 200,000 individuals trained in expeditionary warfare and independent operations. The implications were profound. If Corporal Chen represented typical human military capability rather than an exceptional individual, the Alliance had acquired a military partner whose potential exceeded their most optimistic projections. We must examine the factors that enabled this performance, General Fox declared. Understanding human military doctrine will be essential for effective integration of their forces into Alliance operations. Dr. Veltar accessed files provided by Earth military liaisons during the recruitment negotiations. Human military training emphasizes individual initiative within structured command systems. Soldiers are taught to operate independently when separated from their units, improvising solutions to tactical problems using available resources. Their educational methodology focuses on adaptive problem solving under extreme stress, the xenobiologist continued. Personnel are exposed to worst-case scenarios during training, developing psychological resilience and creative thinking abilities that function effectively during actual combat. Queen Zix-9 studied comparative analysis data between human and Alliance military doctrines. Our approaches emphasize collective decision-making and technological superiority. Human doctrine appears to prioritize individual adaptability and innovative thinking. A holographic display showed video recordings of Chen's final engagement at the enemy command bunker. His approach demonstrated sophisticated understanding of enemy psychology, technology, and tactical doctrine acquired through field observation during active combat operations. His infiltration of the command facility required integration of intelligence gathering, technological improvisation, and psychological warfare, Admiral Kethvar observed. These capabilities were developed in isolation without access to external support or advanced equipment. Whisper of Stars manipulated the replay controls, focusing on Chen's movement patterns during the bunker assault. The precision of his actions suggests extensive tactical knowledge applied with mathematical accuracy. Yet human military records indicate he received standard training rather than specialized education. The council members absorbed this information with growing appreciation for the complexity of human military capabilities. What they had initially interpreted as an exceptional individual performance was revealing itself as a demonstration of systematic preparation and doctrine. The enemy surrender broadcast represents the culmination of a strategic campaign, General Fox noted. Corporal Chen identified the most efficient method to achieve total victory with minimal additional casualties. This suggests advanced understanding of military psychology and command structure vulnerabilities. Dr. Veltar brought up medical analysis reports from Chen's post-extraction examination. Despite operating under extreme conditions for 11 days, he maintained optimal physical and mental performance. Human physiology demonstrates remarkable adaptability to hostile environments when properly trained. His psychological evaluation reveals no signs of combat stress or traumatic response, the xenobiologist continued. Instead, he demonstrates enhanced situational awareness and tactical confidence. The engagement appears to have improved rather than degraded his operational capabilities. Queen Zix9 clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. This suggests that human military personnel may actually benefit from independent operations under adverse conditions. Their performance could improve when separated from traditional support structures. The strategic implications were revolutionary. Alliance military doctrine relied heavily on technological advantages and coordinated formations. The discovery that their human partners could operate effectively as independent tactical units opened entirely new possibilities for military operations. Admiral Kethvar activated the final display, showing proposed modifications to Alliance tactical doctrine based on lessons learned from Zirion 7. Integration of human capabilities will require fundamental changes to our operational planning. Individual human personnel may be capable of strategic impact previously associated only with large military formations. Recommended modifications include development of independent operation protocols, enhanced equipment adaptation training for mixed species units, and revised casualty projections for operations involving human military personnel, he continued. General Fox studied the proposed changes with professional interest. These modifications will require extensive coordination with human military leadership. We must understand their training methodologies and operational doctrine to maximize integration effectiveness. The War Council prepared to adjourn, but their discussion had fundamentally altered Alliance strategic planning. Corporal Marcus Chan's performance on Zirion 7 had answered their original question about human combat capabilities while raising far more significant questions about the future of warfare in their galaxy. As the Council members departed to brief their respective governments, they carried with them the knowledge that humanity brought more to the Alliance than anyone had anticipated. The war that had seemed so challenging when fought against technologically superior enemies suddenly appeared much more manageable with human Marines operating alongside Alliance forces. Corporal Chan returned to active duty 3 days later, promoted to sergeant and assigned to train Alliance personnel in human tactical doctrine. His after-action report became required reading throughout Alliance military academies, studied as a demonstration of what individual initiative and adaptive thinking could accomplish against overwhelming odds. The enemy forces that had surrendered on Zirion 7 were processed through standard prisoner protocols, but their debriefing sessions provided valuable intelligence about human combat effectiveness from the opposing perspective. Their report spoke of an opponent who operated beyond conventional tactical understanding, adapting constantly and striking with surgical precision. The final answer to the War Council's question was both specific and universal. Corporal Marcus Chen had eliminated 437 enemy soldiers while causing the surrender of an entire occupation force. But the broader answer was that human military capability represented a force multiplier that would transform Alliance strategic options throughout their ongoing conflicts. As news of Zirion 7 spread through Alliance military channels, enemy forces began to reconsider their tactical assumptions about engaging human personnel. The reputation that one Marine had earned through 11 days of independent operations would precede every human military unit deployed in the continuing war. The legacy of Sergeant Marcus Chen's performance would influence military doctrine and enemy strategy for years to come, proving that sometimes the most important question is not how many one Marine can kill, but rather how much one Marine can change the entire course of a war.